Hello everyone, welcome to BYJU'S classes for the Hindu analysis of 8th August 2018. Friends, to listen to all such analysis of Hindu every day along with the important video lectures, kindly subscribe to our channel BYJU'S by clicking on the bell button. Now moving for today's analysis, because of the demise of 5 times Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu M. Karunanidhi yesterday, today's newspaper does not have a lot of content when it comes to your front page and even on the national page. I'm not covering any of the topics related to M. Karunanidhi, but I would advise you to read a bit. Why? Because it will help you to know and understand a few details about the Dramuk politics, would help you to understand how the politics of Tamil Nadu has unraveled for the last 50 years and more than that, because this man was in the public life for more than 70 years and has played a very influential role when it comes to both state as well as national politics. So for post-independence India, and to understand a few things regarding that, I would suggest you people to go through a few articles where it's about the history and all those things. So let's start with the first topic for the day. The first topic that I've chosen for the day is scrub typhus is key encephalitis cause in eastern UP. Now, one of the things is we have to understand here this particular disease, that is your encephalitis. Now if you look at the full form of this particular disease, it is your acute encephalitis syndrome. Now, though here in this topic it's mentioned as your only eastern UP, but this is a disease which is there in parts of Bihar, parts of West Bengal, parts of Assam also. Now, exactly what is AES or acute encephalitis syndrome? It is where there is an acute onset of fever, and then this further leads to neurological problems like initially mental confusion, further leading to disorientation, and finally even result into coma. Now, those who know these areas of in and around Gorakhpur have seen a lot of cases of AES for the past few years, and now some of the studies have confirmed that the cause of this particular disease is something called scrub typhus. Now we have to understand what exactly is scrub typhus. So this is a mite, that is mouse borne disease, where again the symptoms are the same like fever, maybe a lesion, a rash. So all this is the symptom of this. Now where did this finding come from? The finding has come from 2014 study done at this Baba Raghav Das Medical College by Karnataka's Manipal Center for Viral Research, later again reiterated by Chennai's National Institute of Epidemiology. Along with that, it's been published in the Journal of Infection, and lastly all this data is shared with Hindu by the Indian Council of Medical Research, which were published in Pediatric Infectious Disease Journal in May this year also. Now, the importance of this study is that though AES is as a disease is at times fatal, if it can be detected that it has happened because of scrub typhus, then it can be treated easily because detection should happen early. Now, one of the things that here we should also look is that this scrub typhus comes from a study of trompiculid mites. Now this is something that is important for the prelims. What is trompiculid? Now trompiculid, also called as your berry bugs, harvest mites, red bugs, they are a family of mites. Always remember, these are your family of mites, and they carry out this particular disease in these areas like eastern UP. At the same time, you can see the researchers have found out that the mites carried Orentia susugumashi, the bacterium which causes the scrub typhus. So guys, overall for prelims, do remember a few facts here. That is AES, scrub typhus, trompiculide, Orentia susugumashi, and also look into the how these diseases are happening. Overall, I don't expect a direct question in mains on this particular topic, but then as a part of health, you can use these components in your answer. Moving to the second topic. Now, this topic is railways focus is misplaced. This is the report of your CAG. Now, this can be used in your paper 3 where the topics might be related to infrastructure, topics might be related to your railways, or if there is any question on CAG, that is your Comptroller and Auditor General, you can give a few examples from here. So now what exactly this report says, which was presented yesterday in the Parliament. The thrust of the report is that the railways modernization plans are mainly focusing on the facade and the passenger facilities rather than removing the bottlenecks which would ensure the timely arrivals, timely movement of the trains. Now here what is the things that they are expecting is providing platforms with adequate length for easy boarding of long trains, providing adequate facilities for stabling of the trains and for their maintenance in stations, along with the adequate yard capacity, significantly contribute for the timely arrival and departure of the trains. And if these are done, a lot would be better as far as the railways are concerned. Now this whole study was done on 15 selected stations where it was found out that infrastructure like these platforms, washing pit, were not augmented to match the increase of the number of trains handled by all these stations, and which led to ultimately the blockage of the lines, and this has not added to your timely arrivals and the departure of the trains. So this is something that you should know and you can utilize in your answers. Moving to your next topic. Now, access to Andamans have been eased. Now if you go through this, 29 inhabited islands in Andaman and Nicobar chain, the foreigners would not require the restricted areas permit. Now this restricted areas permit has also been taken away from 11 other uninhabited islands. Now from where does this RAP, that is restricted area permit, come from? It comes from Foreigners Restricted Areas Order 1963 till December 31, 2022. But this particular ruling has certain exceptions. Exceptions are citizens of Afghanistan, China and Pakistan, and any foreign national who has the origin in these countries. They would still require this RAP document. Along with this, one very important thing that is specifically for those with geography optional, especially the map work area. For visiting Maya Bandar and Diglipur, citizens of Myanmar will continue to require the RAP. So now basically, under which ministry this RAP comes? You can see it comes under the Union Home Ministry. Along with Union Home Ministry, there is one more ministry, that is Environment and Forest Ministry, which is involved in this. Why is it involved? You can see it's involved because its mandate is to ensure the preservation of natural and marine resources, including the marine parks, environment of the Union Territory, without affecting terrorism and business at large. It should be ensured by Andaman and Nicobar administration according to the guidelines. So basically, why these islands have been opened? These islands have been opened to boost the tourism. Now guys, as you all can understand very clearly, when tourism will increase, there would be chances that outsiders would come and mingle with the original inhabitants of these areas. Like one of the very landmark cases which many of you might be knowing, that is one of the native tribes of Andaman is Jarawa, and these Supreme Court had banned the tourists from taking the Grand Trunk Road, which passes through the Jarava areas in Andamans. If you don't know about this landmark case, go through that, because the idea is tourism should be developed great, but then that tourism should not hurt the original inhabitants, the tribes of these areas. So that has to be taken into consideration. Also, with tourism, we have to ensure that these areas don't get polluted also. So everything should be balanced and should be in a balanced manner. Moving ahead. Now, this particular topic, again, yesterday in Rajya Sabha, your Congress leader Jairam Ramesh has asked a question, and this question was about how will the PSB's top post be filled, and the answer given by Mr. Piyush Goyal, the finance minister, was that the Banks Board Bureau has completed the interview and we will do it very soon. So the only thing that comes here is Banks Board Bureau, which you should know is an autonomous body of Government of India whose sole objective is improvement of governance as far as your PSBs are concerned, along with the recommendation of selection of chiefs of all these government owned PSBs and the financial institutions. Along that, the last thing that they have to look is to help the banks in development of the strategies and also the capital raising plans. Now, this Bank Board Bureau was established in 2016 by the present government of Mr. Narendra Modi, and it has been functioning for now more than 2 years, and this was one of the recommendations of PJ Nayak committee. So guys, this is a old news regarding Bank Board Bureau. If you don't have an idea, go through the PJ Nayak committee recommendations, look into the functioning of Bank Board Bureau, because banking is a very, very important topic. You cannot miss out. Moving ahead. Again, the banks have come into the picture. 70,000 crore is the money that the banks would be losing due to frauds in the last 3 years. Now, what we have to look in this topic is there are certain numbers. If you can remember this number, great. This number further can be broken into 3 years figure with 16,409, 16,652 and 36,694. That is, if you look, the first 2 years the losses have been around 16,000 crores, and the next year it has gone 2.25 times. So why has it happened? The answer is here only. That is, minister says that the frauds of the data of the frauds is as per the year of reporting, not the year of occurrence of the fraud. So when it was reported, then it is shown like this. Along with that, it very clearly, it might be that it is of an earlier period or later period. Now, another term that we should look here is stressed assets. What is stressed asset? Now, there are certain terms again which you should know, like non-performing assets, restructured loan, written off assets. So you should get into the technical details of all this. So if you look, stressed assets equivalent to NPAs plus restructured loans plus written off assets. So kindly go through all these terms to know about, because these are the basics of your economics, to have an idea about these particular terms, and this can be as a question in your exam. Along with this there is one more thing, that if you look here, it mentions that RBI issued directions in this month of this year to file applications for initiation of corporate insolvency resolution process under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code IBC in respect of 12 borrowers. Now, very, very important is your IBC, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which came into picture in 2016. This is the apex bankruptcy law of India. That is, all those laws which were there earlier, all of them were consolidated under one existing framework by creating this one law, and this was introduced in Lok Sabha around December 2015, and this code is active from there onwards. So do have an idea about this particular code too. Now, very important topic: most babies not breastfed in their first hour. Now if you look at this particular topic, one prelims question: which report is it based on? This is based on 5th report of assessment of India's policy and programs on breastfeeding and infant and young child feeding in 2018. Now many times in prelims the questions come, who has created this report? So who has brought out this report? It's been prepared by National Consortium of Public Health Groups and agencies including government departments, AIMS, UNICEF, under the World Breastfeeding Trends Initiative. Do remember it for pre. Now why this particular thing? Why are we, in this era when the health facilities have improved, why is still that in India out of 10 babies 6 babies are still not being breastfed within the 1 hour of the birth? Why is it not happening? So this is not happening because there is a lack of supportive work environment, inadequate skills of healthcare providers, as well as cesarean delivery is one of the biggest cause of this not happening. But then what is the importance of the first hour breastfeeding? It is important, guys. Remember it for a term called colostrum, or the first milk, which is very rich in protective factors. This is very good and healthy and nutritious for the babies, and that's why both WHO and UNICEF recommend that this should continue at least till 6 months of the age of the infant, and after that be supplemented by the complementary foods along with the breastfeeding as long as the child is of 2 years, or even at times beyond that. Now guys, there is a lot of numbers in this particular thing. I would expect you to at least remember this one fact, which is very easy to remember, and do quote the source of this, that is which report is mentioning this particular thing. Lastly, a lot of news items will keep on coming when it comes to Hindu and health, and you will see many places National Family Health Survey, NFHS 3 and NFHS 4. These two will keep on coming. Now the thrust of the thing is that overall there has been improvement, that is earlier from 23.4% to 41.5% children are now having this particular, that is breastfeeding happening, but still it is very low. But then there is one more lacuna which has been pointed out, that though the institutional deliveries have more than doubled, that is from 38.7 to almost 79%, the same has not happened with the breastfeeding of the children. So just remember a few facts for prelims, like colostrum, who has published this report, what are the reasons, what is the number, and this would help you in your exams. Moving ahead. Now overall this is a topic which is not important, in the sense that this is a topic which has been covered in many Hindu analysis. This is pertaining to Iran versus USA. That is, under Mr. Trump, USA has pulled out with the deal that was with P5+1, that is permanent 5 members, and Germany and Iran. Now USA has pulled out. Now even before this treaty was signed, USA had a lot of sanctions on Iran under the leadership of then President Barack Obama. But now Mr. Trump is saying that this time the sanctions would be the most biting sanctions. And how would that be most biting? This would be done by ensuring that no one in the world does any business. See, Barack Obama was also trying to corner Iran, but then he had given some freebies, in the sense some leeways were given here or there, that some trade is allowed. But what Mr. Trump is expecting, that everybody should stop doing all the trade with Iran, though we have already made it very clear. Like you can see, when it comes to oil sector, China, India, Turkey, they have refused to significantly cut their purchases. Now we have to understand, for example, India imports second largest quantity of oil from Iran, and if you look at our oil basket, the cheapest rate is offered to us from Iran. Now the overall thing that you guys have to understand is, if you don't know, do look into the landmark 2015 nuclear agreement which was done then between P5+1 and Iran. When you are studying this topic, don't only restrict yourself to Iran versus USA, but then include also India, because if USA says don't do trade with Iran and we don't do for a second, imagine, then you can understand India will lose not only the trading thing but also would lose out when it comes to geopolitics of the area. We all know Chabahar port has been constructed which gives us an access to your Afghanistan, and that is something that we would not like to lose. Similarly, when we are talking about Iran, we should also look into Israel and also look into the Saudi Arabia, because Iran is one subject which makes these two enemies also the best of the friends. Both Israel and Saudi Arabia are ready to cooperate with USA when it comes to Iran, because they both see Iran as a threat to their regional dominance, to their integrity, and this all should be done. So West Asia as a topic should be done by people, and keep on adding substance to this particular topic because it is something which is an unending issue. Guys, the last topic for the day, rooftop solar target of 40 GW, that is gigawatt, by 2022 will be a challenge. How big a challenge it would be? Just understand that at this moment, that is, our target is achieved only 6%, that is 94% is still remaining. This is a figure which is as recent as today. It's a report in another newspaper and magazine, the Quint, where it is mentioned that though our target is 40,000 megawatts by 2022, till date we have got 2538 megawatt, that is almost 94% remaining. 4 years we have, very clearly we will not be able to do that. So now what is the target? Target is of this much for rooftop. So why is it not being done, even though we are giving large amounts of subsidy to these people? That is, if solar rooftops are done, it will be given subsidy. The reason is distribution companies in power surplus states view rooftop solar as competition. That's one reason. Second reason is that, let's say I have got a very small house, my usual electricity bill is 1000 rupees. This particular thing that I do would be helping me in the long term. In the short term, it's not going to be useful because of the fact that my electricity bill is low and the solar equipment cost would be higher in comparison. In the long term, it may help me. So even though there is almost a 30% subsidy for residential buildings, it is not yet being done. Whereas the commercial and industrial building owners, even though they don't get any sort of subsidy, they go ahead with this because in the long term they get benefits out of this. Important thing is, don't only think about this 40 gigawatt, because at this rate it will also jeopardize India's overall solar target of 100 gigawatts by 2022. That is, we will be falling behind both these targets, and this would be not something that would help us. Guys, your work would be to look into the solar initiatives, the solar schemes which have been started by the governments of India, previous government also. Which ministry, that is your, for example, if Ministry of New and Renewable Energy is looking after this, so what are the solar schemes which have been started by them, should be something that you should have an idea. Energy is very important topic for your paper 3. It can always be asked, and look into what all are the other issues that this particular segment is having. So this was all from today's lecture. Again I'm reiterating, guys, if you want to listen to more such lectures, kindly subscribe to our channel, the BYJU'S IAS, and keep on reading the newspapers. That's all for the day. Thank you. Goodbye.